Hello, welcome to the NAP update training on Medicaid basis. This topic is going to be on Medicaid programs for persons living in the community. So there are several programs that serve older adults and persons with disabilities under the Medicaid umbrella, and these are the programs that the NAP program focuses on. In the previous video, we talked about there are over 30 different Medicaid programs serving, people from birth to old age. But the only programs that we focus on are programs that interface with older adults and persons with disability. So those programs are AB Care, which is also referred to as full Medicaid or straight Medicaid. AB Care is full Medicaid for persons who have both Medicare and Medicaid. The Medicaid deductible, also called the Medicaid spend-down, Medicare Savings Program, and then less frequently we encounter Freedom to Work, 503 individuals, and disabled adult children. So we'll talk briefly about those three programs, but those cases happen so very, very rarely. So the AD program is also called Aged and Disabled in the Community. And that program is available to people who are over the age of 65 or who are disabled. So in order to get this program, a person has to also be on Medicare. This program works exclusively with Medicare, but yeah, they're partners. This program can also be found on DEM 163 if you have any, run into any problems with the case. That reference material is very good. In order to qualify for this program, though, a person's net income cannot exceed 100% of the federal poverty level. So when we talk about general eligibility rules for certain Medicaid programs, each income threshold is going to be a little bit different. For this program, all the countable income cannot exceed 100% of the federal poverty level. So that's after the $20 disregard and any other exclusions. AD Care provides full Medicaid coverage to persons who have Medicare. But they have to meet all the financial and non-financial eligibility factors. Also worth noting, so the federal poverty level changes each year. So that process to establish what the federal poverty level is for each year takes a couple months for Michigan to kind of, for that process to reach the point where they can implement that for Medicaid. So because there's a process involved, federal law requires that DHHS must disregard the Social Security cost of living increase, COLA, when determining eligibility from January through March of each year. So that cost of living increase in somebody's Social Security check is not counted for the first 2 months of the year. And the reason is because it takes the federal and state government a little bit of time to establish what the federal poverty level is. So I'm going to take a break from this PowerPoint and go to the Medicaid in the community handout. And that's something that NAP Central calls the purple paper. So you may have it in your training manuals, or you may have it on your computer. If you don't have it, it's available on Shipped Tools under the Resource tab. And so this purple paper, this Medicaid in the Community chart, shows the program, each of the Medicaid in the Community programs but it also talks about the eligibility threshold. So we're talking about AD care, and that's this first program at the top of the sheet. BEM 163 is the Bridges Eligibility Manual reference. And here in the second column, you can see what it stands for, Aged and Disabled Care, AD care. So, and this is a description of the program. So when somebody has both Medicare and Medicaid, they're called dual eligible, D-U-A-L, dual eligible, or in other words, they are dually, D-U-A-L-L-Y, dually eligible for both Medicare and Medicaid. And that's something that, you know, that's just kind of government lingo. Now, if somebody has Medicaid only, so non-dual, they'll have prescription coverage with very low copays, and they have to join a managed care plan. But when somebody is dually eligible, has Medicare and AD care, people do not need to join a managed care plan. They have the choice whether they want to get their Medicaid benefits through the government, or they can get it through a special HMO or called a special needs plan. It's a special type of Medicare Advantage plan. Now, when somebody is on AD care, they do not get prescription drugs through Medicaid. Instead, what happens is they get Part D. They get into a Part D prescription drug program. They automatically get extra help, and the effect that it has is it's the same copay through Part D with the extra help as it would be if they only had Medicaid. So a lot of times people think, oh, I have, you know, maybe they're on Medicaid and they get Medicare. You know, maybe somebody might think, oh, I don't need prescription drugs because I have it through my Medicaid. And that's a somewhat common misconception. And the reality is, no, they absolutely have to get a Part D program, but they'll get the extra help because once they, you know, what will happen is if they go to the pharmacy, it won't be covered if they show them their Medicaid card. So people on AD care have to get a Part D plan, but they'll get the extra help automatically. Now, what AD care does is it supplements Medicare. It acts as a Medigap. So somebody goes to, you know, the doctor, their Medicare pays first, their Medicaid is their secondary payer. You know, it does that. But there's a couple extra benefits. It does a little bit more than just a supplement. It also has a few extra benefits. For example, there's a very limited dental benefit. And then also there's incontinence supplies are covered under Medicaid, so for those that need them. So there's a couple extra perks. It's like a supplement, but it's like a super supplement. It covers, you know, the copays and deductibles with Medicare, but then it has some extra services as well. Now, in order to qualify for AD care, it's 100% of the federal poverty level, which in 2016 is $1,010 or less. Now remember, there's also that $20 disregard, so if somebody has an income slightly above this threshold, they should still apply for Medicaid because they would likely qualify. And then here you see the income threshold for married couple. Again, this is 100% of the federal poverty level, $1,355 in monthly income or less. And then the assets for AD care is $2,000 or less for a single person or $3,000 or less for a married couple. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. So that concludes the section on AD care, or full Medicaid. Next, we're going to talk about another group of Medicaid benefits called the Medicare Savings Program, and these can be found on DEM 165. Now, the Medicare Savings Programs, they help pay Medicare's out-of-pocket costs. In order to be eligible for the Medicare Savings Program, a person must have Medicare or be eligible to receive Medicare. That makes sense, because in order to use the benefit, you have to have the thing medicine. So there's 3 levels of eligibility based on income, and we'll reference that purple paper or Medicaid in the community sheet in just a second. Now, if eligible, a person cannot choose to receive a different MSP category. So let's go to that purple sheet. So if I scroll down a little bit, here we go. So the Medicare Savings Programs are on like the second 2/3 of the sheet. All of these programs are DEM 165. Now there are 3 different types of Medicare Savings Programs: QIMBY, SLIMBY, and OMBY. Let's start with QIMBY. QIMBY stands for Qualified Medicare Beneficiary. QIMBY. This is a Medicare Savings Program, and it pays for the Medicare Part B premium, the Medicare Part A and B deductibles, and Medicare co-payments. So this pays for the premium, A and B deductibles, and the co-payments. This is like a supplement, right? So Medicare would pay first, QIMBY would pay second, and between the 2, the Medicare co-pays and deductibles are taken care of. So because these are the benefits, a Medicaid card would be issued by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Now, that looks very much like the benefits under AD care, right? So the difference between AD care and QIMBY is AD care supplements Medicare, but it also has those extra benefits like dental and incontinence supplies, where QIMBY just supplements the Medicare. So there's no extra benefit. With QIMBY, there's no dental, there's no incontinence supplies. With QIMBY, it's just supplements Medicare. Now, for QIMBY, this also is 100% of the federal poverty level, so its income threshold is the same as AD care, but as you can see in the final column, the assets are much higher. So instead of $2,000 a month for a single person, it's $7,280 in assets that somebody's allowed to have. And then a married couple is $10,930. Also, you'll note that the assets for each Medicare Savings Program, they're the same. So QIMBY, SLIMBY, and OMBY all have the same asset threshold. It's going to be the income that fluctuates. So QIMBY pays for the Medicare Part B premium, Medicare Part A and B deductibles, and Medicare co-payments. 100% of the federal poverty level, $7,280 or $10,930 in assets. SLIMBY is the next Medicare Savings Program. It stands for Specified Limited Medicare Beneficiary. This is for people who have an income of 120% of the federal poverty level or less. And this SLIMBY pays for the Medicare Part B premium. So it does not pay for the deductibles and co-pays. It just pays for the premium. So, I mean, it's a great little program to put an extra $104.90 in somebody's Social Security check each month. It provides them with a little bit of relief. So, you know, while it doesn't do as much as the others, it's still a really great program. So for a single person, it's between 100% and 120% of the federal poverty level. So you'll see this range. You know, married couple, there's a range there. And then the assets are going to be the same throughout. Now, for SWMB, if somebody falls within this income threshold, but they have really low assets, like assets of $2,000 or less instead of this higher asset limit, they may also qualify for the Medicaid deductible. And we're going to talk about that later on. But somebody can get SWMB and the Medicaid deductible as long as their assets are $2,000 or less. So if their assets are above $2,000, they'll just get the SWMB. But if their assets happen to be lower, then they can also get the Medicaid deductible. Finally, is ALMB. ALMB stands for Additional Low Income Medicare Beneficiary. This program is also known for is QI, or Qualified Individual. Basically, in a lot of state publications, you'll hear ALMB, and a lot of federal publications, you'll hear QI. Same program. This is for people 135% of the federal poverty level, and this MSP pays for the Medicare Part B premiums when funds are available. So SWMB and ALMB have the same benefit, right? They both pay for the Medicare Part B premium, but the difference is, so the benefits are the same. The difference between SWMB and ALMB is that SWMB is an entitlement program, meaning no matter how broke the state is, they have to administer SWMB benefits. For, no matter how dire the Michigan budget is, SWMB will have to be offered. ALMB works a little bit differently, where ALMB, they're given a pot of money for ALMB. And once that pot of money is exhausted, the state does not have to fund ALMB with other resources. If the ALMB pot of money is exhausted, then they can close the program for the remainder of the year. Now, this program has historically been funded way above the demand. So this situation has not happened ever. So even though it is possible that ALMB may be closed for a period of time, it's not really probable. It's not happened, and current funding levels where the demand is at this point in time does not suggest that that would be an issue. So ALMB pays for the Part B premiums so long as the funds are available, and you can see it's for people between 120% of the federal poverty level and 135% of the federal poverty level, and then the assets are still the same. And again, somebody in a higher income threshold might be eligible for Medicaid deductible. So those are the Medicare savings programs. QIMBY pays for the Part B premium, Part A and B deductibles and co-payments. SWMB and ALMB pay for the Medicare premium. Moving on. So more about QIMBY. Pays the Medicare premiums. Now the chart says, it covers the Part B premium, but sometimes people are eligible for Medicare Part A, but they haven't worked enough work credit, so they would be subject to a premium for Part A. If somebody qualifies for QIMBY, QIMBY would also pay the Part A premium if they had to pay one. And then it, pays for the Medicare co-insurances and deductible. Now with QIMBY, coverage begins the month following the DHHS processing month, and retroactive coverage is not allowed. With most other Medicaid programs, you can go up to 3 months retroactive, and there's a separate application for that. However, with QIMBY, there's no retroactive coverage, so it's with this program, timely submission is of the application and supporting documents are really important so that they can process it quicker. And DHHS has a 45-day standard of promptness for processing applications, and that can be found in the BAM. So in order to get QIMBY, a person must be entitled to Medicare Part A, either free or with a premium. And then individuals eligible for AD care or SSI Medicaid are automatically QIMBY eligible. So what happens is a worker, the DHHS worker must, quote, run eligibility, end quote, and once notified of the Medicare start date. So if somebody is on Medicaid, maybe they just have Medicaid because of waiting for their Medicare to start. Maybe they're on Healthy Michigan Medicaid. When somebody gets the Medicaid, they need to notify their worker within 10 business days that they have the Medicaid, because that's the rule. And then once the DHHS worker is notified of it, they update the Bridges record, but if they just update the Bridges record, nothing happens. The person kind of goes into limbo. So what they also have to do is run eligibility, and that's kind of that triggering event that sets the ball into motion. Now, a little bit more on SLIMBY. We talked about how it pays the Medicare B premiums. SLIMBY coverage is available for the application month and up to 3 retroactive months, so long as they qualified, financially in each of those months. A person must be entitled to free Medicare Part A, so meaning that the person does not have to pay a premium to receive Part A. So this program would not pay for the Medicare Part A for them. Beneficiaries eligible for full Medicaid are eligible for SLIMBY. So if somebody is in a different category of Medicaid, AD care, they wouldn't qualify for SLIMBY, they'd qualify for QIMBY, right? That's what we talked about in the last slide. But maybe they're in the nursing home. And if their income threshold is in the SLIMBY, category, they can qualify for like nursing home Medicaid, for example, and SLIMBY too. And finally, ALMBI. ALMBI pays for the Part B premium. We talked about the funding for this is a little bit limited. There was a change in how things were funded. It used to be the funding for this at the federal level had to be reauthorized. But now the funding for this is permanent, but it's just a limited pot of money. ALMBI coverage is available for the application month and up to 3 retroactive months, unless those months are in a previous calendar year. So if it's January, you apply for ALMBI, and you wouldn't be able to go to retroactive, because it's the previous calendar year. But like if you're in July, you can go 2 months retroactive because, you know, that falls in the same calendar year. A person must be entitled to free Medicare Part A, meaning that the person does not have to pay a premium to receive Part A. So this program also does not pay for that Part A premium for somebody if they don't qualify free. Now there's also some special rules for OMB. Beneficiaries eligible for full Medicaid are not also eligible for OMB. So if somebody's in the My Choice waiver or PACE or in the nursing home and getting Medicaid, they cannot also get OMB. Beneficiaries eligible for full Medicaid may refuse that Medicaid and receive OMB only. You know, it's up to them. And beneficiaries eligible for OMB at the time they meet their Medicaid deductible remain in OMB eligible. So that's good that they could have. So the Medicare Savings Programs, or MSP, there's some things that have been happening. It's been a sticky wicket. You know, we've had some troubles where some workers may not know about or understand MSP. Bridges refers to MSP as Medicare cost share. So sometimes we've had workers say, well, there's no such thing as a Medicare savings program because but they're not aware that Medicare savings program is the same as Medicare cost share. The beneficiary, you know, this process should be seamless and automatic, but what we're finding is that sometimes it is seamless and automatic and sometimes it isn't. And what I mean by that is if somebody has Medicaid and then they become eligible for Medicare, then the coordination of this should just happen automatically, and they should have everything in place without doing anything by the time their Medicare starts. Well, that's happening sometimes, but not others. And really, usually it's you know, depends on the worker. So beneficiaries should provide a copy of their Medicare card to the BHHS worker within 10 days of receiving it and request MSP. Again, it should happen seamlessly, but the other side of the coin is that if a person has a change, they're required to notify their worker of it within 10 business days. So this is in keeping with you know, the spirit of the rules. A caseworker must act on reported changes within 15 workdays. Medicare eligibility and begin dates must be added into bridges, and the worker needs to run eligibility, not just update the record. A notice of eligibility will be mailed to the client, including begin date. Now, it can take a little bit of time to have this process. It can take up to 120 days to see this benefit on the Social Security check. And the reason it can take that long is the caseworker does something, you know, they do their processing, and then once they do their processing, there's a department in Lansing that does its processing and then communicates that to the Social Security Administration, who then does its processing, and so that whole thing, that whole process can take up to 120 days. Now, a refund of the premium paid in previous months should follow. So if they were eligible for multiple months, you know, even though it takes a while for them to process, there will be a refund for the months that they qualified for. All right, so here's a knowledge check. Fred received $1,150 in Social Security benefits. He also has an IRA worth $10,000, a valuable coin collection, and a 2010 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. he has heard that he may be eligible to get the state to pay for his Medicare premium, and he wants you to help him. What do you tell him? So here I would reference the chart, that purple Medicaid in the community chart. So let's take a break. All right. So we have $1,150 in Social Security benefits. So let's see. So it looks like income-wise, he's at SWIMBY now. Let's go back. It says he has an IRA, a valuable coin collection, and a car. So let's check out that IRA, $10,000, and let's go back and look at the asset. Oof. The asset limit for SWIMBY is $7,280. So, doesn't look promising. So, saw that, yep, income limit for one person, he falls in that SWIMBY category. The asset limit for one person is $7,280. One vehicle is excluded, and the coin collection is personal property. So Fred is excess assets for SWIMBY because of his IRA. Alrighty. So that concludes this portion of the Medicaid training. There's going to be another portion on the spend down and long-term care Medicaid programs and other Medicaid programs. So stay tuned for that. All of those will be on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, please let site coordinator or myself know. Thanks so much, and have a good day.